Okay, so today what we're going to review is the Ready to Fly Inductrix FPV by Blade. Now let's go ahead and open this up. This is a common drone that a lot of people are using to sort of get into the sort of race aspect of things, and I do highly recommend it. Let me just go ahead and say that right off the bat. So right when you open this up, you know this is a good amount of stuff inside there. Let's go take off this top plate. We have our transmitter, the actual quadcopter itself, which is commonly known as the tiny whoop. And most importantly, one of my favorite little aspects of this is we have this little FPV screen included in here. This is probably one of the best reasons to get it is because of the screen, and I'll get into more of that later. Let's go ahead and start off by the transmitter. Out of everything in here, the transmitter is probably going to be the first thing you'd want to change. It is not that great. You get some basic features. You get all your trims, and I think you get a dual rate mode. I'm not 100% sure. And then you also have the mode 1 to mode 2 switch. Being in America, mode 2 is pretty much the only thing anyone's flying on, so that's what I'm going to use. Let's go ahead and put some batteries in this. Again, it's kind of nice of them. They do include AA's, which is, again, not a very common thing you see in this hobby. Now, more onto the people that this is marketed for. It's marketed for people that have absolutely nothing. This is like their first sort of quad they want to get into. They see a lot of people racing and they want to get something like them. This is exactly what they want. And like I said before, this is highly recommended by me. Now, I put in some stick time on my own personal one of these. This one's the Ready to Fly. I've done a couple little modifications, and I know that's a very popular trend nowadays to modify these little guys just because they can have so much more power and just make them handle a lot better. But I'm going to show you some sample videos a little bit later, and you'll see that that's not really necessary all of the time. Alright, now with the batteries put in, we just turn that on right away. We get a little red light indicating everything's good. Pretty straightforward, nothing special. Let's go look at the quad now. The quad is a pretty damn good design. Everything about this is durable. It's just very easy to use. But a couple things I'd probably change right away is it's not the most durable. It's pretty durable, like I said. It's not the most durable. Definitely these little struts that actually hold on each individual motor. They do break off very easily on impacts. And something I'd recommend is a carbon fiber frame stiffener. They're pretty much just an X that goes in between all motors, which on impact spreads out the force of the impact to all the motors, and it has less of a chance of actually breaking it. So continuing on this quad, it's powered off of this tiny little battery. This is a 1-cell 200 milliamp battery. This is something you're definitely going to want more of, and the battery is charged by just a very convenient USB charger. Just plug it in like that, and I think it'll just flash when it's charging. When it's done, just the light will turn off, or yep, LED off means the charge is complete. Very simple to use. There's no real thing you have to worry about for this. It charges, I think, at 2C or a little bit, about 1.5C. It outputs at 350 milliamps, which is 0.35 amps, which is a little bit high for something like this. Nothing to worry about. This is rated up to 3C for the charge rate, which is very high. So that means you could safely charge this up to 0.6 milliamps or 0.6 amps. But I probably wouldn't take it over 0.4, which is 2C. So first thing you'll notice when you plug this in is you get a lot of flashing lights, which will come up in just a second when it's on a level surface for just a second. That will indicate it's in bind mode. To bind it, we're just going to press down on this left stick. It makes a little clicking sound. And while pressing down, I'm going to turn it on. You're going to hear a beep, and for 2.4, it's good to space out the radio a little bit. It takes about maybe 5 or 10 seconds to get the bind. We'll just wait. There we go. Got the bind. This will beep a little bit more, and after a second, when it's done beeping, you'll be ready to fly. And that's the definition of RTF. I mean, I didn't have to do anything. The battery comes 50% charge, as most LiPos do. You're not really going to have to worry about any of that. So next, let's get into that thing I was talking about a little bit earlier, the screen. This is by far one of my favorite parts about this quad. This screen is really what makes it worth the $200 price tag. The screen on itself is about $75, and if you do not have goggles yet, the fat sharks that everybody's getting, this is a great first step, even if you're not flying something like this. Outside, until you start going fast, the screen is going to be very usable. Mounts directly to your transmitter. The ready to fly, the screen by itself, when you get it, includes a sunshade and a metal mounting bracket for every radio that's out there. It probably fits on most. I know the only one it doesn't fit on, surprisingly, are the Spectrum DX6E and the Spectrum DXE. All of their other radios seem to be okay with it. All right, let me go ahead and get into the mounting. Again, no tools necessary. This is a great little design, and I do appreciate designs that work out like this. Companies that take the time to think everything through. This just slides on the back here. It just takes a little click to get it in there. Now that's mounted just like that. Let's go ahead and tighten it up. And then this part that actually holds on the screen just slides over. We're gonna go ahead and take in the side little screw. And again, no tools necessary. All tightened up. Get it nice and stiff. And we'll go ahead and take the screen and just clamps down like that. And there's little rubber pads in there holding that in. Now the screen is one of my favorite parts. Out of this whole kit, the only two things you'll ever end up having to replace when you actually get into the hobby are going to be the quad, just the transmitter. That's the only thing I'd replace, and probably the charger too. Maybe get a parallel board for these, or a X4 by Hi-Tech. Those are very, very good for charging these things. Screen itself has its own charger on the side, or it's built in, and you just need to give it 5 volts. And it includes a cable from just any normal USB in here. And then you get a USB charging for the screen. Screen battery is not the best in the world. It doesn't last forever. I'd say you get a couple good flights out of them. I mean, for a mini quad, that's probably well over 20, 30 packs of flight time. But it's a good idea to bring out a portable charger, especially for something like this when you go out for a whole day of flying. So turn on the screen, there's just a little switch on the side. And we're instantly greeted by the Spectrum. Probably be washed out a little bit here. And then a static screen. Now, one of the better features that not all these FPV screens includes is this one does have a auto search feature. And I did not know this the first time I picked this up. If you actually hold down the channel button, it'll go into a search mode, and you're probably not going to be able to see this, but it says search and it's jumping through the channels. It's not a very fancy search like the LaForge. It's going sequentially up and down the channels until it finds a channel with a frequency it likes. As opposed to LaForge, it finds the frequencies right away and knows which channel to jump to. So let's go ahead and remove the lens cap from this guy and plug it in. So, okay, always a good idea. Power on the transmitter first, or else we'll lose that bind. All right, let's go ahead and search. And there's a major downfall right there. This screen has a speaker for some reason, and I have no idea why they decided to include that. I don't honestly know one FPV model that still has a microphone on the camera, but to each their own, I guess. Okay, we're just jumping through the channels, and I think these come on Fat Shark 1 is like the default. And there we go, got it. So again, you're probably not gonna be able to see this, but we are having video right now. And I'll try to do just a quick little flight. This is a very awkward position for me, so you guys could just get a little sample. Oh, okay, this is a very strange position, and you're not gonna be able to tell. But yeah, there we go, knocked off 2 props. Let's go ahead and grab those propellers. Okay, and now I'll probably give you guys some DVR footage from some old Dominator V2s. Again, this does not have DVR recording capabilities, but this doesn't matter, doesn't care. As long as your goggles can do it, then the quad can do it. So I'll go ahead, just put in some video. All right, so now I'm gonna just talk a little bit about the flight footage here. What you're seeing here is a slightly modified Tiny Whoop. I've taken off the canopy, and I've also put in a higher discharge battery. This has made it fly a lot better. The only other thing I did was turn up the rates to as high as they'll possibly go on my transmitter. And this is a feature that you're not going to be able to do off the stock ready-to-fly Tiny Whoop. With that first transmitter I showed you, you don't really have a dual rate mode. Whatever the dual rate mode switch is, I don't notice a difference. So if it's there, it's not really making a notable difference. But nevertheless, this is generally what it's going to look like flying out of the box. It's a whole lot of fun to fly this, and I've had some practice. I'm not the best. There are some people that are a whole lot better and they're a lot quicker, but this sort of just general fun messing around your house is the whole point of why you get this quad. And that's really what it's designed for. It's either designed for new people, and that's what the Ready to Fly kit is for, people who have nothing, no transmitter, no goggles, and they just want to get started into the hobby. And it's also designed for people who have all this stuff already, and they just want something to have fun around their house. A lot of people have been using 3-inch quads, which are a whole lot faster and a whole lot more powerful, but they're not really indoor quads. And when you do bounce off things, you damage the walls because those propellers just tear through drywall like nothing. Overall, I'd highly recommend this quad to anyone who just wants something either to fly inside or they just want something as their first quad. It's very easy to learn with. All the video you're seeing here is done with auto level. The acro mode, it does let you fly acro for a little bit, but it doesn't really have the power to support acro. So if I were you and you wanted to buy this, the only thing I'd get as the first upgrade would be a new transmitter, just because that'll be the first stepping stone to getting your race quad. And then from there on, you could just enjoy this little guy until you build your first quad. Right here, you just saw a nice little crash, but that's pretty much the flight footage you should be expecting for something like this. Okay, so overall, after some flight and some review of the footage, what do I think about this? This is an incredibly good way to start off. I'm just going to go over some downsides. One, it seems the more and more they make these, the more and more the propellers, the molds are just changing. They fall off at a ridiculously easy rate now. That crash in the beginning of the video, all it did was just plop on the ground. Both propellers, these two, just shot right off. It used to be they were a little bit stiff, and on a hard crash, they'd fall off instead of breaking, which is a great feature, but I think they overdid the looseness of this. I really hope they do stiffen it up. Another huge downfall everybody's saying is this connector is not rated to go through a whole lot of packs for these batteries. A common mod is changing out these connectors. They are absolutely terrible. I noticed that if you actually do look on the inside of the connector, and it's going to be very difficult to see on camera, but there's two microscopic pins in there. When you're actually looking at it, you might want to just get a knife or something and move up the pins, because you'll notice they're both sort of facing upwards like this. Inside the connector, get a knife and just push them so they're straight, making perfect connection with the battery. If they bend up just from you pulling it in and out too much, then it will eventually just bend in a bad way and will not be able to get a good current through the air. And then the quad will have a significantly reduced flight time. Other than that, it's a great platform. Definitely, if you want to make your first jump into a race quad, change the transmitter. You will not be able to fly a race quad off these transmitters. The screen is a great way to get started. Eventually, you're going to want to go grab a set of goggles. That's where you get the full experience, and that's where all the fun comes. For $200, considering that's about the price a lot of people are paying just for electronics on some of these race quad, this is a great kit. The product support is amazing. Replacement parts are very easy to find. The frames, they're about $9 for a replacement frame. Very simple. Only 4 screws to undo the whole thing and just pull everything out. Most of the motors and stuff like that, they're all press fit in, which is a great feature. Motors, again, they're very inexpensive. Upgrade motors, typically my rule is if you're flying this enough to the point where the motors do wear out, and because they're brushed, it will happen, go ahead, buy yourself some upgrade motors from Tiny Whoop or any of the websites. I'll go ahead and leave a link to some in the description. And they really do make a difference. Some of the video I'll show you, like I showed you earlier, you don't really need it right away. You're not going to need it for a while. It all comes down to flight skill, but they're also a good thing to have. Camera's great, video transmitter's great. You get 8 channels. You'll probably only be able to fly with 4 or 5 people if you're lucky. The channels overlap a significant amount. I really do wish they made this at 40 channels. The screen, however, does pick up all 40 channels, so you could use this when you go to racing events or just watching your friends fly if you want to just see around this. But other than that, this is an incredibly great little quad, and it's how you get started into this hobby, which can be very, very addictive. So I'll leave the links for everything I bought in the description, and I'll see you guys next time. Okay, have a good day.